My name's David Moll. I'm from Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, and I was a student here at the University of Glasgow. Scotland's great. The land, the people, the history. But you don't know how much you miss home until you're away from it. So my roommate James and I decided to create a little piece of Canada. We called our room Caribou House. In fact, it became known as the unofficial Canadian embassy here on campus. But for some reason, it still didn't feel completely Canadian yet. So I wrote home to Tim Hortons for a little help. You know, there's some things that just say home.
Did you know that Canadians consume more donuts per capita than any other country in the world?
The old-fashioned glaze, that's my favorite.
That's thanks in large part to one chain, Tim Hortons. With more than 3,000 across Canada, Tim Hortons is as much a cultural icon as it is a donut shop.
What do you think of when you think America? We say apple pie.
Right. I think in Canada they do say Tim Hortons.
And now they've set their sights on the U.S. A food fight later this Sunday morning.
Americans are about to be dragged into an international food fight, and it's our friendly neighbors in Canada who are throwing down the gauntlet. Jeff Glor reports our cover story.
What comes to mind when you think about Canada? Hockey? The Mounties? Moose? Maybe you should be thinking of a donut, but not just any donut.
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons is everywhere.
Tim Hortons.
When I say donuts, what do you think of?
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons.
Absolutely. We're Canadian.
It's sort of like the place that the Seinfeld gang used to meet at.
Canadian actor-comedian Colin Mochrie.
I mean, it's the best of all Canadian worlds. It's named after a hockey player. You get donuts, you get coffee, and the help is very polite.
Tim Horton, the aforementioned hockey player, was an all-star Toronto Maple Leaf who opened a modest donut shop in Ontario in 1964 that turned into a gold mine.
If the business that I am involved in continues as it is, I may have to consider retirement before I would like to.
That's the Tim Horton Donut Emporium?
Yes, Tim Horton Donuts.
Today, Tim Hortons, the company, is 3,000 plus shops that have sprung up over the Canadian landscape in the 45 years since.
Do you know what Tim Hortons is?
Yes.
Is that a dumb question?
That's not, well, it is a dumb question if you're Canadian, yeah.
Sky play?
The company sponsors youth hockey leagues. It set up shop in Kandahar to give Canadian troops a taste of home in Afghanistan.
Happy Canada Day.
Freshly baked donuts.
Don Schroeder is Tim Hortons' CEO.
People meet there. It's a modern-day pub. But
No
we
alcohol,
have people, wedding parties that want to visit Tim Hortons the day of the wedding because that's where they met. We even had a funeral go through the drive-through once, that was the last request. But it's amazing, the stories.
But don't let all this folksiness fool you. This is business, big business. 2008 revenues for the company exceeded $2 billion. That's a lot of Boston creams. And it makes Tim Hortons the fast food king in Canada.
There are more Tim Hortons than McDonald's. Our total sales are greater than McDonald's. And McDonald's does a great job, and I know they look at Tim Hortons in Canada as a unique competitor.